All right. This is the lesson video for the last lesson of the chapter, section 4.7. All right. Talking about two things: multiplication, counting principle, and permutation. All right. So that's basically those three learning targets are dealing with those two things. Also, we're going to talk about what's called, a factorial. All right. So now let's look at if we had this situation. We go to a restaurant and there's options for an appetizer, a main dish, and a dessert. All right. Let's say you were just dying to know, you wanted to know how many different combinations could you possibly have at this restaurant. All right. We could have butternut squash soup with roasted chicken breast with also apple and cranberry tart. All right. That's one combination we could do. We could do, and there's a lot of different ways. All right. Now, instead of listing all of those ways out, that would take a very long time. You can use what's instead called the multiplication counting principle. All right. So if you look, here are all the different options. Like we could take soup, and then there's four different options, and two different options for dessert. So all these are different, like outcomes, different combinations that we can have. All right. So this table here, that kind of shows that diagram shows you all the different possibilities. Or instead, what we can do instead is we use multiplication counting principle, like I said, sort of figure out how many total possible combinations we could do. All you got to do, how many total appetizers are there? 3. How many main dishes are there? 4. How many desserts? 2. So you just go 3 times 4 times 2. All right, to get to our answer of 24. All right, so this situation, there would be 24 different combinations we could have. 24 different ways we could order food. All right, so the multiplication counting principle is a lot easier than listing out every single possibility. All right, so that's what it says here. You just multiply the options for each step, and that's how many outcomes you can have. All right, and this is kind of that formula. Yeah, and the term K or the letter K refers to how many different steps there are. All right. Next thing is called permutations. All right. Permutation is a distinct arrangement of some group of individuals. I like this example here. It says, suppose you have 5 framed photographs of the different family members that you want to arrange in a line on top of your dresser. And how many ways can you do this? Let's count the options from left to right and so on. All right. So if we had 5 pictures, right? Instead of drawing pictures, I can just go. All right. You could arrange it like that. You could also do that. See how those are different options. You could continue to do this. See how many different possible orders we can have. All right, different combinations where order does matter. All right, we can actually use the multiplication counting principle again. All right, let's just look at that first picture. We have 5 total different options we can put on that first picture, that first frame. That second frame, since one of them is already here, that means we only have 4 options here. All right, and then since one of them is here, one of them is at that 5, that means the third picture, there's only 3 options, and then 2 times 1. So if we had this situation, you would just go 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, or multiplication counting principle to get to our answer of 120. All right, and actually what we just did, 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, we actually have a name for that. It's called a factorial. Factorial is just like if you say 6 factorial, that just means 6 times 5 times 4 times 3. It's all the way down to 1. All right. So this is kind of shown, and we show factorial by an exclamation mark. All right. And then also other way to do permutations where you're trying to figure out how many different combinations you can do where order does matter. You can use this formula involving factorials. If you have a calculator, your calculator should be able to do that, where n is how many total events are there, and then K, how many you are choosing to be a part of the combination. All right, so that's all I got in the lesson. We'll talk more about